What stunner stuns the fastest? It's been a very long time since I've done a comparison on this scale. I believe the last one I did was actually in version 1.1 with Chingy's release, meaning that I haven't did a single comparison since the change to the decibel system in version 1.4, which gave all the stunners support agents more viability with their ultimates. Not to mention that we have newer stunner agents like Trigger and Jafufu who have practical stun application off field, meaning that it was high time I get this video out there and go through and compare all the stunners. What you'll see right now is going to be the side-by-side comparison with each stunner solo. We'll have the right side, which will be a free-to-play option. They'll all use the same, the goated Steam oven. And then on the left side, they'll do signature engines. For like the A ranks, I decided to give them Hellfire gears. I do switch out the Hellfire gears on Pokora for her actual box cutter when we go into the team comparison, but I wanted to use Hellfire gears because it was more practical to get the application than with box cutter because it only applies to after shock effects. Now we're on to Coletta. Coletta is going to be an agent where honestly I was surprised about how well she stuns. Now keep in mind this showcase is stun speed. It's not going to do with the damage that they provide to the team, because you know that in itself is going to be a whole nother story, and that's more suited for videos when it's like a one-on-one comparison rather than this 8-player type comparison like it's a Smash tournament or something, or what is that, the 8-player Smash mode. Like this is just more of like the basic level of testing in terms of like, oh, Jafufu versus Trigger. That's also probably a video, but Jafufu versus Trigger or Jafufu versus Lighter, those will have their own videos. I already have Jafufu versus Lighter recorded. That will be posted at a later date. But I also wanted to mention that we are on the Creator Experience server. I didn't mention this, but yes, once again, we're on my favorite server. I feel like I played a server more than my own account lately because I've been doing so many comparisons. I do plan on doing videos on my own account. I thought I'll do some Deadly Assault, try to do these 6500s on like the triple cross. I've been watching Yoji do a couple of videos and that kind of inspired me to do my own. I'm not going to be doing only M0 stuff because some characters on my account already have Mindscapes on them, Miyabi and Yizuen, so I can't really go and remove their Mindscapes, but you know, I'll try some stuff out and we'll see how it goes. But I thought I'll try to incorporate more of my actual account into my videos. I feel like I've just been doing so many comparisons that I don't ever play on my own account, and you know, I don't want to be looking like a washed up Hoyo slave or something, so I thought that'd be kind of fun. But as we're going through all these comparisons, just keep in mind that some characters, Trigger, they're not meant to be played as a solo agent. So when we get to Trigger, expect her performance to be dreadful. Honestly speaking, Lighter was pretty bad too. I had never really played Lighter too much compared to the other stunners, so sometimes, you know, actually having to dodge with Lighter was kind of weird. Also, I swear his hitbox is different than other agents. Just running to the buff that you get at the start of the I forgot what this mode's called, Notorious Hunt, I think, or whatever, Notorious whatever. Going into that, I swear it was hard to dash into it. I swear his hitbox he's just wider than the other characters, in my opinion. I don't know if someone's super smart and is going through and looking at the actual character models, but I swear he's built wider than every character because he kept running into ways that I wasn't really understanding why compared to all the other girls. Even Lycon was easy, but him, I don't know. But we're on to the suffering, which is Trigger. Bro, I thought about this Trigger was going to trigger me. I thought about completely annexing her from this whole video because doing this was driving me nuts. It was so bad. I don't ever want to play with Trigger again. She's a backline character. She is not meant to be played with at all for any reason. We're on this Jafufu. Jafufu's pretty bad too, honestly speaking. These characters are best kept in the backline. Jafufu had a little bit of, I guess, tech where you can kind of like dodge attack and then hold down the attack button to go straight into her spin. That's okay. and it's cool to get into her chain attack, but honestly, bro, these characters, they can, because the more time they emphasize the backline, I feel like the frontline application of them, they kind of falter. Like, for example, I think Jafufu requires a little bit more energy generation on her basic attacks, because her energy generation is so bad on her like claw strikes that it's really bad. And I would love her to have a little bit more energy. Now we're on to the actual team comparison. I showed the buff. The buff will be the same across every run. I was going to do these runs side by side, but I thought I'll show the full video so you guys can understand, you know, these videos are going to have gameplay mistakes or like small errors that can save a second or maybe cut a second down or something. So I wanted to showcase the full thing so you guys can see. It makes it a lot more clear. It does increase the length of the video, which is not really great, but I just want to show you guys everything. Like, for example, right here, I could have stunned. I thought I was going to stun with Astra, but it was that 98 and I just barely missed out on it. And I was like, oh, brother, I'm not going to redo the video because of that. But, you know, I could have maybe saved a second or two. I do have all the time compiled. So at the very end of the video, you'll have everything compiled up. Just keep in mind that there's probably like a 5% to 10% difference between everything. Just keep in mind human mistakes, and you know, not everything's gonna go perfectly all the time. I wish it would. I did a lot of runs. I think, you know, on average, I think I did like 3 to 4 runs per character, per agent. So they're trying to get good runs that were consistent. Some of them was a lot longer than others. Like I think Trigger, I did like 20 runs with Trigger because things weren't lining up the way I wanted to, so it was kind of hard. And just thinking about the intro, like for example with Lighter has a different introduction than all the other setups because Lighter needs that little bit of energy off the bat, because you want to have him hit a perfect assist at the very beginning so that he can automatically build up to 20 stacks. The little small optimizations between agents is a big thing here, so you can kind of see that my rotation at the beginning does change. Also, I'm using the updated Ellen. Ellen's very fun to play with. Honestly, I love her change. I do have a Hugo versus Ellen video also in the works. It's already recorded and everything. I just gotta edit the video, and then once I edit it, I'll show you guys. But honestly, bro, Ellen is so fun to play right now. I think she's in a great situation. The only thing I would talk about with Ellen now is that while she has no issues holding her stacks, I think I would like her EX to come out a little bit quicker. I feel it's kind of slow. There's been so many times I want to go to EX into basic, because the way Ellen plays out now is that she kind of plays herself if you tag her out in the middle of her spinning kick, which is great. She'll like the moment you dash, she'll do her EX, slap her tail, and she'll dash through the enemy. The moment you dash through the enemy, you can tag out to another agent, and then everything else is going to be played out from her free. So she'll do her spinning kick into the I guess the wave attack. I don't remember the names of the new attack, but it's like she sends out a wave, like you kind of see it on screen. So send out a wave attack. That attack will automatically be followed up after the basic attack, and this is just free damage that she's doing off field while you control another agent, which is honestly a great thing, because in this game now quick swaps are pretty much the way to go, and you kind of want to weave between the agents. So you always want to have an agent doing something while another agent is doing something to maximize the on-field time and I guess anomaly applications. Because agents are still applying anomaly effects while they're off field, you can kind of do some real spicy, crazy setups and timings on anomaly effect applications while they're off screen, which is really a big thing. You see this a lot with Sukaku. Sukaku has the same ability. Other agents do it as well, but the big ones are going to be Ellen. Ellen does it really good right now. I thought about trying to do an anomaly Ellen. I wish there was an ice agent that was not Miyabi that can also do like anomaly effects. Right now we use Sukaku, but I would like a better one because ice anomaly is so strong, bro. It's so, I think anomaly effects wise, it's just the ability to freeze the enemy status like in stun is ridiculous, bro. I don't know. The more I play ice characters, I just think they're so stupidly overpowered. Like, who created this shit? they are really something else. But we haven't been talking much about the stunners. We're on Polka right now. Honestly, Polka was an agent who her performance was pretty standard. I thought she'll perform a lot worse in solo than she did because Trigger was so abysmal. But Polka did kind of like consistent, honestly, for A rank. I think she had not like the best times, but she was like middle of the pack. I think the top agents were like Ambi, surprise. Ambi's pretty good though because she applies it really quick. However, her issue is that there's no damage modification on her abilities. So like, if we got an Ambi that gave like buffs to the team, that would be ridiculous. That's what I think personally. In terms of actual gameplay, Ambi does a ton of stun application. It's just that she doesn't give enough buffs to the team. The same thing applies to Coletta. Coletta also a very great stunner, but her issue is that her buff is so garbage that it might as well not be a buff at any point. Like, I think it just boosted chain attack damage, I think. Which, I mean, you can kind of get weird with it, where you, with this team here, you can use Astra to chain attack again, but it's not that great. Now we're on to Lycon. Lycon is going to be the only agent here that has elemental advantage. I tried my hardest to make this as fair as possible. We'll talk about builds when we get there, but just know every agent is using the same build besides Jafufu. Jafufu is the only agent that had to make 3 drive disc changes, but it's really hard to find a fair playing ground between all the agents. The most practical case was either I'll fight Miasmic Priest, which I'll have Lycon with disadvantage, or I'll fight Marionette and have Lycon have advantage. I thought going with him having the advantage was much better than him going with disadvantage. So I just took the L and accepted the fact that he will have advantage in this fight. It is what it is. I couldn't really control it. I wish I could, but there's no boss where they have like, you know, neutral all around the board, because as long as we had one boss that was like ether weakness and then no weakness, my fault, ether weakness and then no resistance, I would do that fight, because if you didn't know, there's no ether and stun agent right now. So ether is a good enemy to go against, which is why I went against Marionette, because they're weak to ether. But, you know, they're also weak to ice. I was thinking of Miasmic Priest, but it had the resistance to Lycon, so I was like, and I really wanted to play Ellen, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, I was contemplating which agent to play as the DPS agent while I used the stunners. It was between Anton and Ellen. I went with Ellen because Ellen has the way better core passive ability, because she gets her core passive now off any stun agent in the party, so I just thought it lined up really well. And I was playing Ellen so much for the Hugo video, so I was like, I want to play Ellen. I'm gonna play Ellen. So going Marionette was the best option for the boss fights. I could have did multiple fights, but honestly, this video alone took way too long to record. So I just didn't really want to go any further in terms of recording. So I was like, you know what, we're just gonna fight Marionette and call it. We're gonna call it a day. Honestly, Lycon's performance wasn't even #1. He had #1 in the solo aspect, I think, but it was like tied with like Coletta or something. So he wasn't even like outperforming other agents so well to the point where, you know, it was unfair. But just know that he does have an advantage compared to everyone else. Now we're on to Lighter, and some of you I know are going to be looking at the current score to see how they do in terms of damage. I think that's fair. Go ahead if you want. I don't think I've optimized everything for like the most damage. I think Chingy's could have done a little bit more damage because of me not maximizing her stun gauge increase, because I didn't get the perfect dodge on the hit. I was aiming for it, but I don't think I got it either time. Maybe I got it once, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But I think Chingy could have been optimized a little bit harder. Keep in mind that Coletta, she does not have her core passive ability up, meaning that there's no boosted chain attack damage. So if you're looking at Coletta's damage, just know that she doesn't have that. Ambi also does not have her core passive ability up. Now, her core passive ability just gives her a little bit more energy on, I'm saying core passive, but I mean the additional ability. As I was saying, with Ambi, she just gets a little bit more energy every time she dodges. I think dodge every 5 seconds. Damn, I played this game too much that I can remember this off the top of my head, but she doesn't get that. So while it doesn't boost the damage, it does help her ability to stun a little bit quicker. So just keep it in mind for Ambi. I think that's the only agent. So Ambi and Coletta didn't have their additional ability. Every other agent has their additional ability up. I made sure of that. So you can look at the damage if you want to look at that. I know some people are going to, so just keep that in mind. I think Lighter did the best damage for the time. Just keep in mind that you have to factor the time it took and the damage score. I think some agents were stunning twice, like by 140, and then some stuns in like 130. I think Lighters did 130. I think he was one of the slower agents compared to like I think the faster agents were like Trigger, I think, and Lycon. Trigger, Lycon, and Jafufu. Those three were like the top three in terms of the we'll go and look at the actual numbers in a second once we get through all the agents, but I think those three were the top. Now we're on the Trigger, and Trigger is an agent that I had a hard time playing with because of the EX special attack. Now Trigger needs you to proc the EX special attack, and I guess this applied to Pulchra too. If you look at my Pulchra gameplay, it's just really hard. Wait, why did this replay that? Wait, what the hell? Oh, did I use her chain attack? What was that? I don't even remember what I did. But I think it used her chain attack or something. So but what I was saying again, yeah, so using the EX on Ellen was really hard to activate the aftershocks on Pulchra and Trigger. This was kind of just because the timing of the boss would be like, I'll hit an EX special attack and then have to perfect assist, and it kind of resets their aftershock. That was the issue I kept running into. So it took me a lot of tries to really get a good run with those agents because of just the timing on where I want to hit the perfect assist followed by the EX special attack. Sometimes I'll do like perfect assist, then I'll go into L and again use EX special attack and have the perfect assist again, which is really annoying. So there's a lot of things you have to factor in, like because some agents, they're just timing based, where you want certain events to occur so that you have a better outcome, which really caused me to have to retry a lot on those two agents. But I think I also had to retry a little bit on Jafufu. I don't remember exactly my issue with Jafufu personally. I think it was just the stun timing. I think there was a time where I had Jafufu and Ellen line up the freeze very often right after the break. I think that was what happening because I was playing it like how I played with in the video versus Hugo, which caused them to have the I would go for the skip. So if you didn't know, you can freeze the boss for like Marionette. You can freeze like the moment she's about to recover from her stun, you can freeze her and re-stun her really quick with the ultimate from Jafufu. This also applies to other agents too, like Lycon and stuff, but you can like stun them again before she does this kind of like jump in the air type invulnerability phase. So that was kind of screwing up my run, so I had to change up my my way of playing so that I can avoid doing that, because it does help boost the speed of the run quite significantly. So I wanted to like avoid doing that. Alright. I think we're coming to the end of it though. I think we get the stun right here, and then I love how Jafufu just does like the extra hit to get the final hit for the stun. I like this. I don't know why it zoomed in. I didn't zoom in myself. That was weird. I don't understand. But here we have the comparison. So let's talk about it. Now, the way I have the data compiled, I have it with the left column having the solo signature runs, the middle column being free-to-play runs with the Steam Oven. These are all solo. And then we have the most important one, which is the team stun. Now I have the first stun and the second stun. If you noticed in the gameplay, I was doing 2 stuns. I wanted to showcase how fast each agent can stun rapidly. So both times consecutively. Now, the way that the time is calculated is from the initial hit from Ellen charge dash attack until the stun is applied. So that's the first stun. And then the second stun is calculated from the moment that Ellen does damage to the recovered marionette. So the moment you see that one from the marionette when she recovers, that is when it begins on the second time until the stun is applied again. And we can kind of get an idea that while Lighter and Lycon and Chingy, they have very, very fast initial stuns. Like, they are some of the fastest by far, along with Ambi. However, even with applying their ultimate on the second stun window, they definitely fall off pretty hard when compared to the backline agents like Trigger and Jafufu, who are consistently doing the same stun windows, which is pretty impressive. I might have needed to do a third stun to get like solidified information on that. I didn't really think about it, but I didn't want the video to be too long. The video already felt kind of extremely long as it is. I think it's 20 minutes plus, but you can kind of see how it's a trend where the backline agents are more consistent than like the early burst stunners like Lycon, Lighter, and Chingy. Now, the outlier here is going to be Coletta. Coletta, you would think, would fall more into the Lighter, Chingy group, but she's very consistent. It surprised me, her energy regeneration, maybe because I was running Ashra and I was swapping to her consistently and letting Coletta get a couple hits in, but she was able to keep up her stun and build up enough energy to keep spamming her EX special attack, because her EX special attack does do a considerable amount of stun, so keep that in mind. However, Coletta does have the weakness called she doesn't do much damage, and her buff isn't good at all. Her chain attack buff is just not even that applicable. So it's good for like maybe one agent, and that would be obviously the girl, the love, Evelyn. But other than that, chain attack isn't too great. So I was just a little bit surprised by how quick she can stun. I may do a video comparing her against Lighter or something with Lighter's signature Wenjin, because I did only use their signatures for this video. But if people really want to, I could try it out. I wouldn't be against the idea. But that's kind of all of them. Now we're going to the builds here. And for the builds, I mentioned that all agents are running the exact same Wenjins besides Jafufu. So they're all maxed out agents. I'm going to show you all the stats on each Wenjin. The reason I had to switch out the Wenjins for the drive disc is because Jafufu has a dumb requirement called 3400 attack to maximize her core passive ability, the critical damage boost that she gives. So I had to swap out the slot 6 disc to give impact. I swapped out the slot 4 discs to give more attack, and then the slot 1 disc for more attack percentage, because running Steam Oven is very, very hard. So you do need the additional attack, because Steam Oven has, I believe, the lowest base attack of all the A ranks, and it's way lower than the S rank. So I had to make drastic setup changes for that. And when I run Steam Oven, I changed disc 6 to an attack percent disc. All the subsets are pretty much the same. Just know that it goes from impact to attack percent just for Steam Oven. But I swapped back to impact percentage for her signature. But let me know what you guys think in the comment down below. I did try to go over as much as I can here. I'll probably have some still image in the background right now. Probably more of the image because I have no more footage. But let me know what you guys think. I do appreciate for you making this far. I know it's a little bit of rambly. I don't really script these videos. Once I record them, I kind of edit them first and then talk over them. That's just how I do it. But yeah, I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. Later.